Okay, we're ready. Good morning.
Where's this? Oh.
Pre-show right here. I got it right here.
Sorry, put the computer on.
What's up, Carolyn? Caroline? South Carolina? Alright, come on through. Good morning, Savannah. Welcome to the pre-show. Hello. I wish we could title Instagram Live. That'd be nice.
Are you sure you can't?
Well, I don't know, to be honest.
Can. Worth the Google.
It is worth the Google.
What's that from?
Good morning. I don't know.
Lego Movie Doy.
Oh, Doy. Good morning, Brittany.
Huh?
Welcome to the pre-show.
It's worth the Google.
Thursday morning.
Check. I have an interview with Dr. Corey.
That's cool. Hey, Melanie, did you run almost 2 miles this morning, get a full body workout? No? Oh, you didn't? Anyway, let's do this podcast.
Get out of town.
Hey, look, our friend, Agnes.
Hello.
Hi. Where are you? In Spain?
Germany.
In Germany? In Jakarta, Indonesia?
She could be here.
I wish I was in all those places.
I know, right? You're twisted. Are you ready? What'd you unplug for?
Talk to our friends.
Okay, check.
Halloui. Halloui. Is that hello in Indonesian?
I miss you. I want to hang out.
I know. I do too.
Okay. Are we ready to go?
I believe so.
I am really tired.
Hey, Tired. How you doing?
Oh my gosh.
From Dresden. Oh, you're in Germany still. Oh, wish I was too.
They moved there.
I know.
Okay.
I remember. Maybe I'll be in Frankfurt again. I don't know. So
In October.
in October.
Oh,
if
well,
my
you
flight takes me that way.
fly.
I don't know. Okay.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
Okay. Okay. Yes, we are ready. Go. Yes.
Hello and welcome to the Anatomy of Marriage podcast. I'm your host, Melanie Studley.
Good morning. My name is Seth Studley. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and today is day 40 of AOM Q&A, where we're going to talk about autism spectrum and relationships and how to get sex when I want it.
And if you're new here, welcome. We have over 250 episodes all about relationship stuff. Check out season 1 of our podcast where we explore our nearly failed marriage and how we got through it. And thank you for joining us.
That's right. And we are also on Facebook Live and Instagram Live right now, where you can join us every single morning, most mornings, at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we interact with your questions. And although this is a therapy podcast, I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. Do not substitute this show or any other show for real, actual therapy. Go seek professional help.
And as always, our show is brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/anatomy of marriage to get a free audiobook on us. We love audiobooks. We read them all the time. They are so instrumental to our personal growth and our relationship growth. So please get a free audiobook on us. We'll mention it again at the end.
It's like going to school every day.
It is.
But a school that you want to go to.
That's right.
Right?
The best schools.
I'm not talking about math.
Okay.
I'm not reading math books
Let's
here.
read the review of the day.
Okay, review of the day. Hey, Emily. Oh, let's see. Mo from Muckle Tio. Ooh.
Oh,
Muckle Tio is in Washington, by the way, if anybody doesn't know. This is the podcast you need. 5 stars. I listened to all the available episodes within a week of finding this. I really could have used this 2 years ago at my rock bottom in my already tenuous marriage. Now rebuilding, I can't wait for more of these wonderful people. It's real and raw, and I love that although Seth is a therapist, he still gets stuck, makes mistakes, and really F's up communication in their relationship. That's right, I do. It gives me the daily needed reminder that it's not a lack of love that makes my husband screw up. The empathy part was missing from me because I felt once we learn better, we should do better, right now. Oh, and I'm more of the
And I'm more forgiving of myself also for not being perfect. Thank you. I like the end part. I didn't like the format from the last few months. And I'm glad that it's changed to Q&A, but I really like the interviews.
Awesome.
I just thought it was funny that that's like tagged on the end. Yeah. Thank you for that review. And it's awesome that the show is helping you. That's basically our goal. It helps us to help people, and they help us again.
That's right. Zig Ziglar says, the more you help others get what they want, the more you get what you want. And that is really true. And we love doing it. So thank you. Good morning, Adina. Good morning, Nicole. Good morning, Rochelle. Hello. And
also, while we're live, feel free in the Instagram and Facebook to write questions in. We have time. We've got time. We only have 2 questions today. Summer always slows down for podcasting. It's kind of interesting. It's like everything goes because people have kids around them.
Kids.
No, not you.
Just kidding.
Anyway, First question. It says, I've had several friends in relationships with people on the autism spectrum, and those relationships seem particularly challenging. What considerations need to come into play when someone is in a relationship with someone on the autism spectrum? Often social cues and empathy are huge issues. At what point does considering someone's autism turn into enabling? This is a really great question, and I want to clarify and would like your assistance clarifying what the autism spectrum is, and because if you don't know someone on the, or you don't know that you know someone on the autism spectrum, that might seem like a confusing question, because we often think of autism in extremes, like people who are autistic don't talk or whatever. We often think that way.
Yeah, it's a spectrum, right? So think of a spectrum of lights. There's
every color,
intense red to lighter to pink to just white, right? So it's a huge spectrum. And on that spectrum, there's Asperger's syndrome. There's profoundly
Can you explain
disabled.
a little bit of what Asperger's syndrome is?
Okay, you're putting me on the spot.
Well, I mean, we have friends who have Asperger's syndrome who are like really successful. You wouldn't know it until you really studied their social engagement.
Right. Sometimes they're really successful in certain areas. They're like, highly gifted in whatever. It could be math or reading or linguistics or whatever. But then they have other quirks that just make them kind of odd or like.
Well, I wouldn't say odd. It's just that they're
different.
They don't follow some. I mean, this is they. There's no they. It's every single person is different. But there are social cues, like she mentioned in the question, that just don't kind of get attended to in the same way. One of our best friends is he's Asperger's.
Right. I have a cousin who has autism. We have a nephew that has autism, and I worked in the special needs population for a zillion years, ranging from intense disabling autism and spectrum to highly functioning adults that can do anything, that were super smart, but just had some certain peculiarity.
Oh gosh! Oh man! You just don't even
sometimes
try.
Folks have OCD, like they get caught up on certain things, or they like it very structured. When things are out of whack, they're like, I don't know what to do, and it's all inside, right? And it's manageable, and so in relationships, I understand how it could be. Maybe I'm thinking. I'm just wondering what folks on the spectrum would be. On the Enneagram.
I'm sure it's different for every person. But I just want to address the question so people are understanding when we say autism spectrum what we're meaning.
Okay, so
hoping that it's something people understand.
Someone's autism turned enabling. So let's just say let's scratch the autism.
At what point does considering someone's autism turn into enabling?
Right. So let's scratch the diagnosis of autism or being on the spectrum, right? Let's replace that with OCD, or replace that with major depression or major anxiety, right? So it's not like I'm enabling your depression. I'm not making you more depressed or more anxious. I mean, there's things that I could do, right? But I'm not just like, oh, I'm gonna push her over. She's in bed again. So if I let her be in bed, then that's giving her a green light to continue being depressed. It's not that. Depression is a chemical imbalance, and autism is a neurological kind of thing going on. So there's some behaviors that, so for instance, with my younger cousin who has had autism all his life, he's kind of high functioning, but he will never be completely independent. There can be bad behavior, like when he was a kid, like, he would throw food on the thing. So there's teachings around that and like structure that you could do to essentially train, which we all can be trained. That doesn't, I'm not trying to sound derogatory
and that is
anything.
actually one of the things that therapy for anybody does. It trains you to think of something differently.
Right.
So there is no difference when it comes to that. Like whether it's training for social cues, like training for our friend to realize, when his wife like glares at him, death ray eyeballs, she's upset.
That means something.
It means something. And so he would sit with her and not, he would be like, what? She's looking at me, I don't care.
Right.
But in her perception is, I am giving him the death glare because I want him to attune to me, and I'm mad at him, but he's like, what? I don't care. And it's not that, but again, he would go to therapy to learn and train his own mind to see that death glare equals, I need to attune to my wife, I need to talk to her about something. And so yes, I agree. Like I want people to think of it like therapy is like training. It's like school. It's just an education for your brain.
Which when I was a kid, and my cousin is probably about 10 years younger, so I was 10, 11, 12, 15 when he was like 5, 6, 7, and he was presenting with autism symptoms, right? And because I was like 14 and 15, I didn't know anything about it, and I thought that it was very enabling, like, oh, he just gets his way, he's just yelling, and that was absolutely not the way to approach it. It would be through like cognitive behavioral therapy and just training and forced function, and also reinforcing positive behaviors and extinguishing negative behaviors.
Yeah.
So you can just get trained like that.
Well, and
think about it, like we've talked about stop thoughts,
yes.
before, like, oh, I'm in a pattern of negative thinking. You can enable that pattern of negative thinking, like, yeah, you're right, it does suck, and blah, blah, blah. Or we can work around some CBT techniques and go, wait a minute, I'm arresting that thought, we're not going there, we're going this way. So we're replacing that, right? So it's a real... It's training, basically. Let me read some questions. It says, this is such a touchy subject. Yes, it is. Professional help would be probably the best way that everyone can communicate better. We are still learning so much about it. The spectrum looks different for everyone, so it's hard to give advice about it.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
The advice would be because it does look different for everybody, you have to seek out individual everything. Like it's individual counseling and read. I went to look, like I Googled relationships with people on the spectrum, and the thing that came up was autismspeaks.org, and there's tons of stuff there's lots of information about it. So I would suggest do your own research, because it's so individualized. It's so different for every single person. The spectrum is a spectrum, meaning every single thing is on it. So we can't answer in general what it would be, but there is something to consider too, that even in relationship, so if I were to say, oh yeah, Seth has major depressive disorder, if I stay treating Seth the same as if he didn't have major depressive disorder, that would mean I didn't have relational skills.
Right.
That's not enabling him. That's me not having relational skills. So things like, all the chemicals that are interplaying when we have a relationship. So my ability to attune to you and to mirror what you're feeling and to whatever, that's not enabling. That's a relationship. That's a interactive relationship.
And a diagnosis can be helpful. Sometimes
very helpful.
I hate diagnoses because the person, like, it's almost, we talk about it in Indian country as like a naming ceremony. Like, okay, that is me. Like, hey, I'm Seth and I'm depressed. Like, hey, I'm Melanie and I'm an alcoholic. I'm like, really? That's your identity? So, okay. And people take that to, they use it as a crutch, and they're enabled by it, and they are that, right? They've taken on that identity, and they sometimes use it as an excuse in really unhealthy cases, right? And we have tons of people write in. I think we've done that before too, so
for sure.
It's normal. However, if I know, like, oh my goodness, what has been the problem all these years, and then we finally go get a diagnosis for Melanie that she is on the autism spectrum or whatever, I'm like, okay, that's not her name, that's not her identity, but now I can treat her through a different lens and not be in denial about, like,
you don't mean treat, crazy. You mean be in relationship with me.
Be in a relationship with in a different way, right?
Yeah.
And something like autism doesn't go away, like major depressive disorder or generalized anxiety disorder does. That is with you, right? So it's a little different, but let's not change it into a naming ceremony kind of thing.
I like that idea.
Okay, good question. Let's go. Hey, Gator Chomp. I just like saying Gator Chomp. So. Don't know who you are, but I'm glad you're with us. Okay, let's see. Can you give some suggestions on how to handle differences in timing of sexual drive? I rarely want to have sex in the evening after work and wrangling a toddler. While wrangling a toddler, but that's what my husband wants it. I wake up very early, and that's prime time for me.
Okay, that's mine.
Yes.
Not my question. Those are my comments.
Let's talk about it.
I don't have a toddler to wrangle. This is a great question. Thank you for the last question, by the way. I didn't say that. I want to say that first. So, suggestions on how to handle differences in timing of sexual drive. So, you said that you wake up really early and that's prime time for you. And the first question that I have for you in response to your question is, have you talked to your husband about that? Mm-hmm. So it's important that sometimes we actually think our partners can read our minds. Sometimes we think they should be able to read our body language, or like if we, scoff at a certain time, that they should understand what that scoff meant. And often we don't actually clearly communicate what we wish or think we communicate.
Right.
So the first thing right off the bat is, have you told your husband you prefer sex in the morning? Mm-hmm. He might love that idea, but if you haven't told him, he doesn't know that idea exists.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And he might be more than willing. Like, okay, let's get real. I've told Melanie, like, anytime, I don't care.
Well, and let me give the backstory.
Or if I'm like halfway dead, wake me up.
Yeah. Well, I always think that's really funny because I'd be like, oh, he's asleep, I don't want to bother him. And then
this is hard for me to hear.
It's not like it happens all the time. But it's really funny. But without having actually communicated it, he would never know.
Right.
And so it's important to communicate, to be in really, really clear communication, even if it's uncomfortable. But we have a tool. I'm so glad that this question got asked.
Oh, we do.
Because
what's the tool?
The Ultimate Intimacy app. So download the Ultimate Intimacy app for free. There's a paid version that is like a whole expansive different. I actually just got the paid version like 2 days ago. Actually, my boss made me get it because the guy who created the app is the guy who's helping me create, or we're working on the marriage app together. And so why I'm bringing up the Ultimate Intimacy app is that it has so many amazing things. One, it has like anatomy stuff, it has positions, it's all marriage friendly too, by the way. Like nothing is pornographic, nothing is like weird or would make you stray, or I don't even know. I used to worry a ton about that kind of thing when we were very first married, so that helps me to know that it's not like weird. But one of the things that is in the app that is so phenomenal is conversation starters. But they're not just about sex and intimacy. They're about all sorts of different things. So you can, just get the app for the conversation starters alone. It is totally worth it. But this is something that if you have the app open and you're in the conversation starters and you have regular dialogue that does not feel scary or weird, or like if we talk about sex then we have to have sex, because I hate that. Like I would like to be able to talk to you about intimacy without it being like, okay, now let me squeeze your butt. Like that kind of stuff makes me like not want to talk to him about it.
Is that a question? Can I squeeze your butt?
In your app, it's a question. But does that make sense, I'm saying?
Yes.
So if you have the conversation starters, and then you can feel more welcome, more safe, more free to talk about sex and intimacy, timing of sex and intimacy, why it matters to have it in the morning, why you don't want to have it in the afternoon, whatever. And you can have those conversations. It gives you kind of like holds your hand through it, and it just feels safer to me anyway. Yeah. So get the Ultimate Intimacy app.
What's the app again?
Yeah. It's the Ultimate Intimacy app. Right. And you can go to ultimateintimacy.com and get it. And they have like a really funny commercial that they made for it. And it is a really great app. Like it genuinely has so much content.
It is fun. The questions are great. And again, it's not just about sex. It's about building connection and pleasure. It's about
intimacy. Intimacy is not just sex. It's the connection and the closeness that you feel with your partner. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay. Okay. Any more questions for you guys? We only had 2. And
send in your questions because it's fun to answer y'all's questions.
That's right. Okay, I want to give a plug and then you give a plug. So July 25th, you guys, Seattle, very first AOM meetup. It's going to be chill. We'll probably go to a bar, restaurant. We'll have food. We'll have drinks. We'll have
Olive Garden
fellowship. No, it's not going to be freaking Olive Garden.
I'm just kidding.
Are you kidding me?
Keep talking.
Anyway, it's going to be fun. The hangout in Nashville was awesome. The hangout in Chicago was awesome, and I'm super looking forward to people coming in, come down from Vancouver, BC, come up from Portland, Oregon, come over from Walla Walla, Washington. I don't know why I keep on saying that, but Hawaii, catch a flight over.
Hawaii.
It's cool, and we would love to see you guys there, July 25th. It's free, but you do have to sign up for it, and I'll let you guys know the Eventbrite link very soon. and get on that stuff.
I have 2 things to do. Yeah.
Going against the rules of podcasting.
3. I have 3.
Oh, this is
so again, send in your questions. And I want to really encourage you that people often email us and they go, oh, I don't know if this is a good question. Like they'll start their question out by saying it's not good or maybe it shouldn't, whatever, we shouldn't answer it. Every question is helpful. You have no idea what your question will how it will help someone else in some other country go through their marriage, right? So please send in your question. It doesn't matter what it is. No question is off limits. All topics are welcome. We want to celebrate the idea of authentic relationships and walking through these things together in a community. What is this?
Okay, we have a question. Here? Any ideas on subtle ways to hint that you're interested in sex without attaching a bunch of expectations, like practical random things? LOL. Okay.
Yes, so...
go for it.
Yes. So get the Ultimate Intimacy app for one. Just it'll give you ideas for things like that. But here's something that we learned at the retreat in Denver with Dr. Tina Shermer Sellers. We went to an intimacy retreat, and there they had and this is also going to be in our app. I'm so excited. Different cues that I had come up with this idea, sort of taking Tina's idea, but you can. There was like different cues for different kinds of sex that you wanted to have, if that makes sense. So maybe you're feeling stressed out and you're like, I just want to have like really tender relaxation sex, as I call it. I want to feel calm. I don't want to feel like weird and pressured. I want to have like Zen intimacy.
Relaxation.
Right?
Like
so
that.
my thought was you could have like an assigned item, like a scarf, like a pretty silk scarf, and you put it on the bed thing, like not in a weird way, not that's like sex over here, but like it's a signal to your partner. You don't have to say it out loud. You don't have to like have an awkward conversation. You just lay it on the bed and then lets your partner know, hey, this is what I'm interested in right now. And it's like the symbol of the thing carries all of the expectations inside of it. Like you have said, when I put this on the bed, this means I'm stressed out. It means I need you to help me like calm down. And we're using intimacy as this function, if that makes sense.
Right.
And then you can have another item, like maybe it's a bottle of Tabasco sauce and you set it on the nightstand. And that means like you're feeling frisky.
Right.
It helps give your partner...
You're hot and spicy.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean if your partner puts a bottle of hot sauce on the bedside that you have to have wild sex. It might just mean that your partner is letting you know what they want. They're making the expectations really clear.
And maybe that could even be a turn on too. Like,
oh yeah, it's a form of foreplay.
Right. Okay, I like that. We should do that.
Let's see. If you're married and someone else... There's another question. Here's a question. If you're married and someone else expresses that they are attracted to you, should you just avoid that person or just put up strong boundaries? I had like a really hilarious thought.
I think well, first of all, you should share that with your spouse.
Yes.
Definitely. Like, hey, so-and-so is kind of like flirty with me. And put up boundaries. And hopefully they know that you're married. Hopefully they know that you're in a relationship and you're not looking to step out, and then put up boundaries around that. Avoiding them. I think sometimes when we avoid problems, sometimes they can get worse. Just like, then it's just awkward. Then you're always thinking about it and stuff like that. But and sometimes that works too. So I would say a mixture of both. Strong boundaries. Well, first of all, talk to your spouse about it. You guys be in clear communication about it. Talk to the person, say, yo, these are my boundaries. And then if they keep on doing it, then take other action. Yeah,
I would say it's really, that is how affairs start, right? Like they start like, oh, they hinted and now what do I do, right? Like, do I avoid them? I don't know. I kind of like that someone likes me, right? So I would say one of the best things to do, and it's I find it fun, but maybe I'm just a total weirdo, is when you can be really honest with people, but also not followed by the weird social thing that you think would happen if that was the case. So if someone says, hey, I'm super attracted to you, although I know you're married, I'd be like, hey, that's really cool that you're attracted to me, but I am married and no thanks. Like,
no thanks.
No dice.
Right.
And just say to them, like, cool, high five for you liking me, but I have a wife that I love or a husband that I love, and you're not going to ruin it. Get thee behind me, Satan.
Not today.
Do that. Not today, devil. But really, though, I would highly suggest talking to your partner about it. So this is something that Seth and I have started being able to talk to one another about, that in the past, I would have lost my mind if Seth had been like, so-and-so flirts with me. I'd have been like, where's my knife? not really.
Yeah,
but,
to kill me.
Yeah, you're
Anyway,
going to pay. But
somebody says, is
yeah.
the app going to be free when it releases?
Yes, we're going to have a free version and a paid version. And there's going to be tons and tons of content in the app. It's so exciting. I'm editing for it today. I'm interviewing for it today, Dr. Corey Allen. And so it's really exciting. And yes, it's going to have a free and paid version. Let's see.
Love that idea, Melanie, especially if you get the awkward want to do it question from your spouse. Yeah, I found that really doesn't work.
Want to do it? No, Seth, this is Seth's go-to want to do it move. Hey, I'd like to get in bed early.
I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, since last week. I just hit my own headphone. Anyway, but yeah, so thank you for the questions, and we look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow. Send in more questions. These are all super helpful. Don't let that temptress or tempter get you. Person who wrote that in.
That's right.
You tell them, get thee behind me, Satan.
Talk to your spouse.
And then the last thing I wanted to say was, please rate and review the podcast on iTunes. We will read your review on the show, and it is incredibly helpful for new listeners to find the show and to trust that it is valuable. Mm-hmm. So, yes, we love y'all. Have an amazing day. See you later in Dresden.
Right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Post-show. Thanks for joining us.
Yes,
Thanks for your questions. Les Cloud, so good to see you.
I know.
Do you do an Instagram that we can watch you and hang out? I would love it.
Have a good one.
Thanks, Rochelle. Okay, you guys, signing off. Love you. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
Let's see. I gotta unplug this.